Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, those in the audience and those attending online, I apologize for being a few minutes late this evening. We had a long work session, which I think was quite productive on the growth policy. And could we have a little quiet in the audience, please? With that, I am Frank Sweeney, Deputy Mayor. John is excused this evening, and so is Rebecca and Steve. And so you've got the skeleton crew, but we have a very light agenda this evening. With that, I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask Richard, yes, to say the Pledge of Allegiance for us, or lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And with this, the next item on our agenda is a proclamation this evening. And with that, I will read the proclamation for Children's Grief Awareness Month. Whereas 52,000 Montana youth will experience the death of a parent or sibling before their 25th birthday. And whereas many kids feel misunderstood in the wake of loss, thinking of their grief as invisible to those around them. And whereas all the bereaved youth deserve advocates supporting them as they navigate a world without their loved ones. And whereas effective grief support can help prevent possible negative outcomes by teaching positive coping mechanisms and resiliency. And whereas recognizing this month serves to build a foundation of support for grieving youth, shining a national on a national community of bereaved individuals, support service organizations, and community members. And whereas our community is committed to supporting one another, working to raise awareness of children's grief and to ensure that no child grieves alone. Now, therefore, I, Frank Sweeney, Deputy Mayor of the City of Whitefish, have the distinct honor to proclaim the month of November and shall be recognized as Children's Grief Awareness Month. In witness thereof, I have here too set my hand and cause the city seal of Whitefish to be affixed on this 21st day of October 2024. And with that, we move on to communications from the public. And since we have no public hearings this evening, there's nothing off limits. As long as he left. He was excused.
Are you back there, Jake? Okay. Thought I better check. Gosh.
Name and address.
Just over 10 months ago, or excuse me.
Point of order. Name and
yeah.
address, just
Sorry.
the formality of it.
I know. Richard Hildner, 104 5th Street, Whitefish. A month ago, I provided council with a list of 10 items of potential action items that could that the council could accomplish between a month ago and the next wildfire season. As I said then, we have 10 months to take action. Tempus fugit. I know I flunked Latin, but I've always wanted to use that phrase. We're now down to 9 months. Any action on my 10 action items? I'm assuming not. One of my suggestions is to require mowing of vacant lots during fire season. Alan today, just this evening, again said that he had either walked or driven every single street in Whitefish and looked at every single lot. So there should be a record of the location of all these lots that have not been mown. And there are 3 ways to remove this particular fire hazard. Take out your pencils, write this down. E, letter R, and E again. That stands for education, regulation, and enforcement. Education, inform the landowner as to the nature of the hazard and how it can be mitigated. Regulations, if there is no regulation requiring the mitigation of this hazard, now is the time for the city to begin to write one. Enforcement, This is a last resort, but the city should be proactive in its enforcement and not rely on complaint-driven notifications. A warning to the landowner as part of education would normally suffice. I'll be back in a month to work on and remind you of 9 other items that I think should be considered. And by then, we'll only be 8 months away from fire season. And I'll miss December because I know you're going to skip normally a meeting in December. Thanks, as always. It was, gosh, a month ago you guys were shorthanded too. It was a limited group, and I'd hoped to speak to everyone, but maybe they'll watch. Anyway, since we'll miss in December, that meeting will be even closer to fire season. Thanks as always for your time and service to the city, and a reminder to everyone to be sure to vote.
Just as a reminder, we do in fact have, and generally have, our first meeting in December. It's only the second meeting in December that we tend to take a day off if we can. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Alyssa Mailer, 27 Park. I just want to say I was already here, but I wanted to say thank you to the Whitefish Fire Department and Police Department. Took my daughter to an open house this last weekend, and it was awesome. They opened up the whole facility, let the kids go nuts, and it was really cool. So I just wanted to say thank you for them, and have a good night. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment this evening in the, yes?
Mike Hine, 612 Lupfer, Whitefish. In the spirit of congratulating people and saying thank you, Public Works, Caro is beautiful. The final result after a long, messy project. I run up 7th and go down Caro. Top flight. It's one of the best. It's become now one of the best places to run, walk, etc. So thanks.
Thanks. Any other public comment? Any online, Michelle? Okay. Moving next, we move to the consent agenda. I'll be happy to entertain a motion.
I so move to approve the consent agenda.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or corrections? Not seeing those. All in favor? And no, it passes unanimously, Michelle. Next, we have no public hearings this evening, and we move right on to communications from our city manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have my report in the packets. I do just have one item that I'd like to remind individuals as we get ready for Election Day. City Hall will be open on Election Day. We are not a polling place, and we will not have a box for your mail-in ballots. But you can drop those off on Election Day at your polling place or to the county election department. More information, we do have information on our door on the front, and you can also find some information on the website.
Thanks, Michelle. All right. Yeah, thank you. Any questions for Dana on her report? Not seeing any. We have now communications from mayor and city councilor. Mayor's gone, but the rest of us are here. Giuseppe, anything this evening?
Yes, I had made a bet with Jake that we would be done at 7:40, so I have to speak for another 12 minutes. But no comments. Thank you.
No comments, thank you.
Andy, anything from you?
This is for Craig, actually, but speaking of great resort tax projects, if I look at State Park Road and I look at Caro, both stellar examples of what we do with resort tax dollars, and the final products are always really great. Texas Avenue being another one of those, and as I drove that the other day, I don't know if you've been out there recently, Craig, but the patch that they did for the sewer connection for Ruiz's project is absolutely the worst one I've ever seen in the history of the city. It's horrible. It's already a big dip, it's broken on the edges, and we spend all that money to make a really nice road, and then they cut through it and it falls apart, and it's like, oh, it just pains me, so.
Yeah, and to make matters worse, we extended a storm sewer lateral for them, which they couldn't use in their design. So we intended not to have that road cut, but yeah, it definitely needs to be repaired, and I'll work on that.
Yeah, can we get that before it
Yeah.
winter,
Yeah,
hopefully?
we'll get it this season, sure.
Okay, good, thank you. That's all I have.
Good, good. And Craig, I will also pass along my compliments on a job well done on Caro. I wasn't skeptical before when you started. I had one member of my family who was, and I can tell you did a great job. It looks great. It came out perfectly. You guys did great. And with that, I have nothing further. Anything further from staff?
Nope, we're good.
Anything else?
Nope.
I'll call the meeting to a close. We're done.